Coming up tonight on VCU InSight.
The holidays are quickly approaching. I'm Anaya Spraggs, and I'll tell you why Carytown is the place to shop on Small Business Saturday.
I'm Tanisha Brothers Sutton, and I'll tell you about a local business that gives back.
And it's last call for a popular Richmond nightclub, how local musicians are reacting to the shutdown. All this and more.
VCU InSight starts right now.
From the Richard T. Robertson School of Media and Culture at Virginia Commonwealth University, named Best Student Newscast in the Mid-Atlantic, this is VCU InSight.
Good evening and welcome to VCU InSight. I'm Talia Fagard.
And I'm Tyler Lane. Thanks for joining us. It's turned into a tradition after Thanksgiving, people rushing to the stores for what we all know as Black Friday. But it's the day after Black Friday that has pulled shoppers away from national chains like Walmart and Best Buy to their local stores. InSight's Anaya Spraggs is in Carytown to tell us all about it. Good evening, Anaya.
Good evening, Tyler. The National Retail Federation says 174 million Americans went shopping over Thanksgiving weekend last year. Small businesses like the ones here in Carytown are hoping shoppers don't forget about local options.
So thankfully, because we're in Carytown, we are very foot traffic driven.
That's Chuck Rudisil. He's the owner of Richmond Camera in Carytown, which is offering discounts the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Normally, because we won't have lines out the door, we will actually be able to have, more equipment available for people.
People started participating in Small Business Saturday 8 years ago to help out places just like Richmond Camera, one of America's more than 30 million small businesses.
But it's a good day to kind of come in and check us out and, shop with us.
Here in Carytown, small businesses such as the ones behind me say they provide a different experience than at the big retail stores during the holiday season.
I do think that probably many people in the big box stores have fewer people than they'd like to have on Small Business Saturdays because we do have such strong support.
Paula Rhodes owns the Carytown Collective. She says she'll be offering a free Christmas ornament when customers spend $50 or more.
Lots of people come in, lots of people are excited to support a local business.
And while items typically sell out quickly at many big retail stores, Rhodes doesn't see that happening at her store.
We try to foresee lasting throughout the whole season with the supplies we have. But we have signs, we have animal clocks, which are the best sellers in the store.
Back at Richmond Camera, store manager Rudisil says he's ready.
Come see us on Saturday after Black Friday. We're here for you.
According to the National Retail Federation, consumers say on average they'll spend $1,000 this holiday season.
Anaya Spraggs reporting from Carytown. Thanks, Anaya.
Over the years, the nightclub at 929 West Gray Street, just north of the VCU campus, has been known as the Back Door, Twisters, and even Nancy Reagan. As InSight's Precious Banks reports, the latest name is also about to become history.
Check, check, check.
After nearly a decade, Strange Matter, an arcade, a restaurant, and a well-known live music venue, is closing in mid-December.
And I know that people are really like, what are we going to do without it?
Robert Fields, known as Black Liquid, has been working as a promoter with Strange Matter for 7 years. In that time, he's put more than 40 independent artists on their stage.
It has been a transformative journey for me.
As to why that journey's coming to an end, the owners won't say. One local artist who's worked with the club says its closing is okay with him. Will Keck, known as OG Ella, had his first release party at the bar 7 years ago. Since then, he admits there were rough patches, including one time getting banned from the club. He was scheduled to perform later this month, and as of mid-November, it was still listed on the club's website. Then Keck got the email canceling his show. For him, that was the last straw.
This is a prime example for what not to do when you're running a venue.
But on social media, it seems like a Strange Matter love fest. Like Octavia Walk, who says, "This place was the only thing that made me feel at home when I first moved here." And Hillary Jones, who says she's played on their stage. Always loved playing here when my band toured. Great food, great space. A space on West Gray Street that may soon have yet another name. For VCU InSight, I'm Precious Banks.
The band Punks for Presents will give the last scheduled performance at Strange Matter on December 15th.
Mayor LeVar Stoney wants to relocate the downtown social services building. The plan is to move the Department of Social Services from the Marshall Plaza building on 900 East Marshall Street to the long vacant Philip Morris building off of Bells Road in South Richmond. The move would make way for the $1.4 billion redevelopment of the Richmond Coliseum area. A spokesman for the mayor told the Richmond Times-Dispatch that social services had already been thinking of moving before the project was proposed.
A needle exchange program geared towards substance abuse safety has opened up here in Richmond. InSight's Alex Dougherty has more on how the program will benefit the community.
The Health Brigade of Richmond, formerly known as the Fan-Free Clinic, has recently opened up a new needle exchange program. The program aims to reduce bloodborne diseases by providing clean needles to those who have substance abuse disorders. Program coordinator Emily Westerholm wants those who are curious about the program to know they're encouraged to stop by.
We are a judgment-free zone. We're really just looking to meet people where they are, and we're happy if they come in the door because that means a lot in itself.
The program also offers HIV and hepatitis C testing. According to the Virginia Department of Health, cases of hepatitis C have increased dramatically in the last 5 years, with nearly 11,500 cases reported in 2017, compared to the almost 6,400 reported in 2013. The program did see one obstacle when Richmond Police Captain Emmett Williams was hesitant on signing off on the program before learning about its positive effects on the lives of others.
I'm the biggest fan of the part where they get a health assessment, where they come in and get some care if they need it. I'm a big fan of the fact that they're going to have peer counselors in there to try to move them into recovery.
Westerholm would not only like the program to protect the health of those dealing with substance abuse, but also
reduce the stigma, I think, is the first thing. Just trying to meet people with a lot of compassion.
The Health Brigade operates the program from 5 to 8 p.m. Mondays and from 1 to 4 p.m. on Fridays. For VCU InSight, I'm Alex Dougherty.
This marks the second needle exchange program in the state. The first program opened in Southwest Virginia earlier this year.
After spending months or even years behind bars or on the streets, reconnecting isn't easy. InSight's Alex Dougherty sat down with the founder of a nonprofit who's trying to make that transition a bit easier.
I'm speaking with Sarah Scarborough, founder and director of Real Life. Dr. Scarborough, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, so I have a couple questions. So my first question, can you tell me a little bit about the Real Life program and what it does?
Yeah, so Real Life is a nonprofit here in Richmond, and we work with folks who are in adverse situations, primarily due to former incarceration, homelessness, and or those who are battling a substance use disorder. So we just work with them, kind of meet them where they are and try to get them back on their feet and, you know, get to a point where they can have a thriving life.
Okay. And what would you like people to know about those who are in your program?
They're humans. You know, we all really make mistakes as human beings, some maybe worse than others, but at the end of the day, folks that we help are humans. A lot of them have just made bad decisions, been in tough situations, and so we really just work to get them back to a successful life, to a life, you know, free of drugs, living off the streets, out of incarceration, reunite with their family. But I think there's such a negative stigma around the folks that we serve, and it really, you know, there's a human side of things, and we really want people to see that and see that what we do works. People do recover, people do change their lives.
That's great. So also there's 4 men that were a part of the new documentary 16 Bars, which documents their stories through words and music. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. That was an incredibly fun project. So when I was program director in the Richmond jail for 10 years. One of the last projects I worked on was a documentary that looked at the lives of these men that were a part of the REAL program in the jail. And as a part of the program, they earned the privilege to work in a recording studio. So we had Speech, the head of the band from the 90s, Arrested Development, come to Richmond, spend about 2 weeks in the jail with them, both in the program, getting to know them, getting to know their stories, and then also working with them in the recording studio. And this whole process was made into a documentary that has been shown all over the country so far right now, and has won several awards too.
And what kind of impact do you think that has had on the people that have actually watched the documentary?
There's been several impacts. It's been very inspirational and motivational to folks that are in similar situations. It's also shown folks the everyday struggles that folks have and gives a better insight as to why people have such a hard time kind of escaping the cycles and the continued path that some people take. And it's acted as a huge educational tool, maybe for folks that have not had direct experience with some of these situations. You know, it's really educated them to those topics.
And where would you like to see the Real Life program go in the future?
Would love, you know, we are making such an impact on the Richmond area, but would love to see it maybe in other areas, in other correctional settings, whether it be jail or prison, because, you know, there's a lot of great programs out there, but there's just not enough. And there's tons of people who are battling similar situations. So just want to see it available to more individuals.
How is helping people impacted you?
You know, of course, it makes me feel good. I love being a part of the work, but just seeing, as a mom of 3, seeing these men and women return to the home to be mothers and fathers to their children, it's really tremendous seeing the end result of that.
Fantastic. Well, I'm Alex, and we've been with Sarah Scarborough, founder and director of Real Life. Thank you so much for dropping by today.
Yes, thank you.
VCU Health is inching closer to opening its new location on the East End. The VCU Health Hub at 25th is set to open in March. A former state health official has been tapped to lead the center. The hub will focus on preventative health and wellness education for the city's East End residents, and it'll be located at the intersection of North 25th and 9 Mile Road.
Early November marked the 41st annual Anthem Marathon. This year's race brought in 18,000 runners, each with their own story about what led them to the starting line. InSight's Tai Wong met a young man who was running for more than just a medal.
3, 2, 1, have fun out there on our course in this beautiful day in Virginia's capital, Richmond, Virginia. We love that you're here.
I'm doing something that not many people can do, and that just gives me like beliefs in myself.
Andy's been running since he was 11 years old.
I remember when Andy decided he wanted to run a marathon. He was quite young. He was so excited to turn 16 so he could run a marathon. Not that he wanted to drive a car. He didn't want to get a license. He didn't have any interest in that at the time, but he just wanted to run a marathon.
About 2011, my dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and he was training for a race at the time in November, and 4 months later he ran one of the best races he's ever run. He ran a 1:35 race, still PR for him, and after that I just told myself, if he can do that, I can do it.
Andy's accomplishments are fantastic. He has worked really hard at all his running. He trains, he gets up early in the morning, he goes to bed, he eats well. I'm just really proud of all his accomplishments.
Andy finished in the top 200 out of 7,500 runners and finished 15th out of 201 racers in his gender age division. He is also training to run in the Boston Marathon next year.
Richmond. It's home to the Rams, the Spiders, the Kickers, the Flying Squirrels, but no Major League professional sports team. InSight's Will Thomas went to find out why.
The Richmond Rough Riders have relocated to West Virginia. The Washington Redskins are here only for training. There's still the Flying Squirrels, of course, and the Richmond Kickers, both minor league teams. But the majors, NBA, NFL, MLB, are missing from RVA. Former Major League Soccer player Rob Ukrop is on the Kickers board of directors.
I think Richmond fits nicely. Would it be nice to have a major league franchise in some sport? Absolutely. But at the same time, I think Richmond's doing quite well in the sports landscape.
He says one obstacle for professional soccer in Richmond is its proximity to Northern Virginia, home to DC United. If not soccer, what about hockey?
Now that we haven't had pro hockey in a number of years, actually about 10 years, in that time, the market exploded as opposed to vanishing.
Alan Sams leads a grassroots group called Bring Back Hockey to Richmond. Not necessarily a major league team, but he wouldn't mind one.
There is excitement about the progress that could be happening here. It's cautious excitement, because you don't want to see a brand new building get built here and then, there's absolutely no desire from that building management or the city to bring a team in.
That brand new building would be an arena that would replace the nearly 50-year-old Coliseum here in the Navy Hill neighborhood. Mayor LeVar Stoney proposed the revamped arena as a part of a major redevelopment project. If the plan goes through, Richmond would have the largest arena in the Commonwealth. For VCU InSight, I'm Will Thomas.
And as of now, city officials have declined to comment on the potential of using the Coliseum for a new professional sports team. But fans remain hopeful.
According to the CDC, more than 50 million Americans live with a disability. InSight's Tai Wong talked to one advocate who is working to make communities more inclusive.
I'm speaking with Justin Graves, founder of the organization He's on Wheels. Justin, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, you embrace your disability and you don't let it stop you from doing what you want to do in your life. And you created your own organization, He's on Wheels. Tell us about that.
So He's on Wheels started many years ago, probably about 8 years ago now, when I was a freshman at Virginia Tech. And I realized that as I was going through the university that people were kind of over-helping me. I felt pretty independent and I didn't realize that everyone else agreed. So I decided to establish a goal of meeting one new person every single day. And I've done that literally almost every day ever since. And the reason I started He's on Wheels was to kind of scale that. So I started a blog, started talking about all the different people I was meeting, the different interactions I was having. And now He's on Wheels has developed into not just a blog, but a whole motivational speaking endeavor where I travel around the country and talk with usually high school students and college age students about disability advocacy, community engagement, and social inclusion. And I call it my passion job. I love it.
That sounds really cool. Well, how did you actually begin to be a public speaker for the disabled?
So when I was a junior in high school, I was giving campus tours, and I had a mentor that said, Justin, your story is so unique. You're a great public speaker. You should do this as your job when you graduate. And her name's Linda, and I looked at Linda and I was like, that's crazy. People don't pay their bills just by talking, and they're definitely not going to pay me some 20-something to listen to me talk about whatever. But she definitely was right. She proved me wrong, and she just kept motivating me, kept encouraging me. And so I started to apply to different conferences, whether they were conferences for students with disabilities or parents of students with disabilities, and also a lot of higher education-based conferences. So I started applying to speak at those and presenting the different pieces of research that I had done, and it really just snowballed from there. So now I still entertain a lot of those same clients, but I've done high school graduations, all kinds of different events, just really trying to help people understand the importance of engaging with people around them and the fact that disability just means different as opposed to anything bad or anything less than.
Yeah. So I actually heard a speech from the First Lady Michelle Obama, and she actually mentioned you in it. How was that? How did that come about?
Oh my gosh, that was wild. So she was speaking at our commencement when I was a senior, which was in 2012 at Virginia Tech. And her office apparently called Virginia Tech and said, hey, we have you know, some students in mind that the First Lady should speak to, and would you guys recommend anyone that she should talk to? And I got very lucky. The President's office just happened to name drop little old me. And so they reached out to me and they were like, well, first of all, don't tell anyone that we're talking to you. And second, like, we're gonna need your social security number so we can like background search you and make sure you're not crazy. So once we went through that whole process, they told me that Mrs. Obama had seen like some Virginia Tech magazine that they featured me in, and I mentioned my goal of meeting and helping one new person every day. She thought it was fantastic, and from there, her speechwriter asked me if I wanted to meet the First Lady. Of course, I said yes. So I got to meet her right before commencement. And based on that conversation, she mentioned a little nugget that I had said, which was life is all about what you've done for other people. So yeah, definitely like top 3 coolest moments of my life.
Yeah, that does sound really cool. Well, thank you for coming. We've been speaking to Justin Graves, founder of He's on Wheels. Thanks, Justin.
No problem. Thanks.
A portion of what will soon be the Virginia Women's Monument was recently unveiled at the state capitol. A small crowd that was gathered at Capitol Square watched as a curved glass structure called the Wall of Honor was revealed at the end of October. The glass is etched with the names of 230 largely unrecognized women who contributed to the Commonwealth over the last few centuries. The piece is only part of the full monument, which is called Voices from the Garden. The completed monument is set to open in October 2019.
Car rides around the city will soon become a lot smoother. November marked the start of what the city called a pothole blitz, a week-long project to prepare the roads for the winter season. Freezing temperatures mixed with rain and snow can cause the roads to buckle and crack, just like you see here. In 2017, the city filled 25,000 of those holes, and this year, Richmond has filled 25,000. You can help create a less bumpy commute by reporting potholes to 311.
Everybody talks about wanting greener neighborhoods, and recently a group of Richmonders took steps to make it happen. I spent the weekend with several volunteer groups that are adding just a little bit of green to one historic Richmond neighborhood. It was the perfect fall weekend for digging in the dirt. Volunteers came out to plant trees in the Carver neighborhood just north of VCU. University research shows that compared to surrounding neighborhoods, Carver lacks trees.
When you have ideas as to how you want the neighborhood to look, you have to actually step up and be responsible for making that vision happen.
This vision started almost a year ago when VCU reached out to the Carver neighborhood. With money from Carver, VCU, and the city, and help from local tree experts, they bought a whole bunch of trees.
So many people that are excited to help out, and just that everyone pitched in together and that we were able to make a beautiful final product out of it.
Trees up there. About 50 people came out this weekend for the first project of what's called the Urban Forestry Collaborative. They planted 62 native trees in the area, like red maple, sourwood, and sweet bay magnolia. In the next phase of the project, a group from VCU will get trained on how to maintain trees, just like this one, for years to come. Organizers say they're happy with the results.
I bet once people realize that the Carver Tree Project is as successful as it is, then more communities are going to try to emulate this project.
The VCU researchers who looked at trees in the Carver neighborhood say they have an economic impact of more than $750,000. You know, at this point, they're not sure what their next step is, but they're excited to get those trees in the ground.
And now that those trees are planted and the leaves are falling, the city is trying to make it easier for residents to clean up the remaining evidence of fall. The Department of Public Works has started a leaf collection program, which will continue through March. And the department offers several options to pick up those leaves. You can bag them and put them out with your trash, or there's a vacuum service available for $30. Now for that, you need to rake the leaves into a pile in your front yard. And there's also a do-it-yourself option, where you take your bagged leaves to the East Richmond Road Convenience Center.
Dozens of local students will have a full ride scholarship before they even begin high school. That's all thanks to a new partnership between Virginia Union University and Richmond Public Schools called VUU is RVA. The program will give full ride scholarships to 50 deserving 8th graders enrolled in the Richmond public school system. Through this partnership, the district will also have access to university labs and classrooms. Scholarship criteria has not yet been determined, but applications will open in January.
And in our final story tonight, as the weather gets colder, a local business wants to keep Richmond families warm.
InSight's Tanisha Brother Sutton has more on the program and how you can help.
This time of the year, Bob Wyrup spends a lot of time sorting through piles of winter clothes.
From alterations to cleaning everything that you bring in, whether it's a shirt or a blanket or everything in between, this is a full service shop right here.
But some clothes that are dropped off here will not end up back in their original closet.
Some people don't know is that Puritan Cleaners turns into a valuable resource for Richmond residents during the winter season.
31 years ago, Puritan Cleaners started their Coats for Kids campaign.
We take them, we clean them, we repair them. If they need a new zipper, they're missing a button, or they have a tear or something, we'll repair them. Then we'll take those down to the Christmas Center, which is run by the Salvation Army.
Last year, Puritan collected more than 17,000 coats to donate to the Salvation Army's Christmas Assistance Program.
Sure, the toys and the books and the games are great, but something that everybody, whether you're a child or an adult, can use this time of year is a nice coat.
But the work doesn't stop here. Evan Armour says this is just one part of the Salvation Army's Christmas Assistance Program.
The need around Richmond for help comes many different ways. There are some people who are in need of help more. There's other people that we meet who come through our shelter or come through our programs who are just sort of down on their luck for a temporary amount of time.
The Salvation Army projects that it will help more than 3,000 Richmond families by the end of this year. For VCU InSight, I'm Tanisha Brother Sutton.
If you want to play your part, you can drop off donations to any Puritan Cleaners location.
They will be accepting coats through the end of the month.
And what a better time to give than with Giving Tuesday right around the corner.
So great to see the community come together this holiday season.
Sure is.
That does it for this edition of VCU InSight.
You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under VCU InSight. And you can let us know about any stories that you'd like to see on our show.
And if you missed our show or would like to watch it again, you can find us on YouTube at VCU InSight. Thanks for watching. I'm Talia Fagard.
And I'm Tyler Lane. We will see you next time.